Welcome my fellow brute chieftains to the Triple S Variety channel. I'm your host Triple S, and in this video I'll be breaking down the January 17th 2024 We Need Master Chief trailer for the second season of the Halo TV show. Now let's begin. Point number one, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time we've seen the entirety of Silver Team together in a green fog scene. Previously, we've only seen Chief and Talia Perez in the fog, taking on a whole bunch of elites. Point number two, here we see Soren's son Kessler, who's wearing his father's old helmet that we previously saw him wearing in the first look trailer, and is playing with a Master Chief action figure. It makes sense there'd be merchandise about the Spartans to help boost morale and public opinion of them, but it still seems a little funny to me that you could walk into a shop and be faced with rows upon rows of Master Chief action figures, like that one scene from Toy Story 2. Master Chief. Point number three, again, we see this random guy in a random room and now he's just randomly pointing out of his window. Who the heck is this guy that he's been in 2 trailers now, and what is he pointing at? And why does that shape in the architecture of the bridge look really familiar to me? Oh my god. Fulcrum and Halo TV show confirmed? Point number four, the woman narrating over the opening of this trailer I believe is Halsey, and it's interesting she's talking about a city falling, presumably referring to the city we've become accustomed to seeing in scenes set on Reach, people escaping or not as the case may be, and how the game is over. This leads me to believe the fall of Reach won't encompass the entirety of Season 2. At some point it will be attacked, fall, and then later at a different location we'll hear these lines from Halsey. And of course, since I think the woman who is talking is Halsey, her saying the game is over reminds me of the words Halsey's mother said to her after the first time they played chess, the only time Halsey's mother ever won, and Cortana's first words in this timeline and in the blue timeline, though in the blue timeline she said it in Italian, not in English.
When the game is over, the king and the pawn go back into the same box.
Point number five, the very orange shot of Chief looking out of the back of a crowded pelican connects back to the close-up shot of Chief's helmet from the first look trailer, where you can see the group of people on the ground reflected in Chief's visor. Many speculated this could be the show's version of Noble Team, due to them standing in a similar pose to promotional material for the game Halo Reach, but I think now it might be the red-robed people we've seen in previous trailers. In fact, the very next shot of Chief face-to-face with the white-haired, red-robed woman whilst carrying a person over his shoulder I think actually takes place before the shot of Chief on the crowded pelican, and the woman is telling Chief to leave her and the others behind for whatever reason. Point number six, we see again the shots of an elite slicing up Marines in the dark just like in the first look trailer, but then we get an additional close-up shot of the elite. Many still believe this could be the Arbiter due to similarities with the armor, but I really don't think it is unless the show has the Arbiter wear armor that's identical to armor worn by other elites we've seen throughout these trailers. I just think these are a special rank of elites, probably just stealth elites or something similar. Point number seven, here we have Kai standing before many, presumably Spartan 3s, who are all decked out in spy armor. This shot appears to carry on from a shot we saw in the official trailer of Kai standing next to Ackerson as she puts on her helmet and doors in front of her open. She must then walk outside and stand before this army of Spartan 3s. And I do mean army. In the blue timeline, the number of Spartan 3s produced was around 930. Each square of Spartan 3s here is 10 by 10, and if you then count all the squares, the number of Spartan 3s on screen here is over double the number of 3s that ever existed in the blue timeline. That's a lot of Spartan 3s. The show appears to be going so much harder on the idea that Spartan 3s are meant to be expendable, cheaper to train and faster to ship out than Spartan 2s, and would need to rely more on numbers than tech to complete their borderline not so borderline chop suey missions. Point number 8, pretty cool shot of an armorless Chief activating an energy sword, not gonna lie. I wonder if it's the jackals with shields and energy daggers that we see in the next shots and that we saw in the official trailer that he's going to use it against. Point number 9, we see here presumably Cortana looking quite different than she did in season 1 of the show, appearing before presumably Halsey in front of some sort of blue glowy pedestal inside of a glass box. The heck is all that about? What's this pedestal? Is it Forerunner? And why is it inside of a glass box? Point number 10, next we see Kai looking away with an upset expression on her face from an image of Master Chief with what appears to be the word heroes above his head. Since it appears Ackerson has gotten involved with the Spartan 3 project, could this have created some form of rift between her and Chief? Or could it be she simply misses him what with not being able to be part of Silver Team whilst working with the Spartan 3s? I wonder if Kai in the second season is going to follow a similar path as Kurt Ambrose, formerly known as Spartan 051. Kurt, during a mission requiring him to be floating around in space, was listed as MIA when his jetpack malfunctioned, which sent him flying off randomly into deep space. This, however, turns out to have been planned by Oni and Akison so that they could retrieve Kurt and secretly recruit him to train the Spartan 3s. Point number 11, I find it hilarious that Akison, of all people, could be saying he believes in Master Chief, considering he tried to kill him in the Blue timeline. Let's flash back for a moment to my breakdown of the first look trailer and let Past Triple S explain, shall we? Also, a fun little side note, Akison in the Blue timeline actually tried to get the Master Chief killed when during a field test he threw anti-tank mines, ODSTs, chain guns, and an airstrike against the Spartan. Chief obviously lived, and Cortana messed with Akison's files and personal life by sending a lot of Akison's money to a brothel and then the bill to his wife as revenge. Point number 12, I wonder if this is how Riz suffers the arm injuries we saw her sporting in the official trailer, rather than it being from her getting shot up a bunch at the end of the first season, since her arm gets pretty twisted here as she tries to hold on to this cliff she's falling off of. Point number 13, oh my god, yes, we finally get an actual undisputable shot of Quan Ha. I noticed she's grown her hair out and is spotting a fringe again, kind of like she had in the flashback scene in episode 7. Maybe now the assholes who mocked her hairstyle in the first season will keep their mouths shut this time. Point number 14, it's nice to finally get a proper shot of Vanek doing something in a trailer. He's the member of Silver Team we've seen the least of, and judging by this shot, I think my theory of him being the first of the team to die might actually be true. I mean, right here, he's armorless and firing a needler at an elite whose armor is apparently needler-proof, since the shards are just bouncing off of him, and the elite is getting right up in Vanek's face with a shard in its hand that he's presumably going to use to stab Vanek with. If only the needler didn't auto-track and Vanek was able to properly control his aim so that he could shoot the elite in the face. Alas, that's not how the Nubla works, and this right here is probably the end for poor Vanek. Point number 15. Neat final shot of Chief putting on his helmet under to show the visor has been cracked and we can see his eye behind it. It reminds me of shots of Tex's helmet in Red vs. Blue after the Meteor stabbed her with the Epsilon unit, and of Captain Phasma in The Last Jedi as she looks at Finn before falling to her death. Point number 16. Trailer talk is done, but I also want to talk about the episode titles that have been revealed via the Halo the Series Instagram account. Episode 1 is titled Sanctuary, Episode 2 is Sword, Episode 3 is Visegrad, Episode 4 is Reach, Episode 5 is Aleria, Episode 6 is Onyx, Episode 7 is Thermopylae, and Episode 8 is Halo. I think the title of Episode 1, Sanctuary, is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, there is a Halo 2 map called Sanctuary, but it's based in the ancient Foreigner ruins on Delta Halo, so I doubt it has anything to do with this show, unless we see some ancient Foreigner ruins underground on Reach or something. Episode 2's title of Sword makes me think of Cortana's lines from the first announcement trailer for Halo 3, where she says,
I am your shield. I am your sword.
It most likely instead could refer to Sword Base, an Oni facility located on Reach that we see in the game Halo Reach when Noble Team stopped the Covenant from attacking it and then later are sent to destroy it, with the added caveat of having to also retrieve Halsey and a fragment of Cortana from the caves beneath the base. Episode 3's title of Visegrad refers to the town of Visegrad on Reach, which you see in the second campaign mission of Halo Reach with a contingency. Visegrad Relay is a communication station where you finish the aforementioned campaign mission and might be where we've seen Silver Team heading to in the previous trailer. Episode 4's title of Reach is obvious, but Episode 5's is intriguing. Aleria is a planet that first appeared in Halo Nightfall and was effectively abandoned by the United Earth government during the Human Covenant War, which led to the planet being controlled by courier guilds, smugglers, and pirates. So most likely this planet is going to have something to do with Soren, considering what he does for a living. Episode 6 is titled Onyx, which makes sense what with Akison and the Spartan 3s being introduced, as Onyx was the place the Spartan 3s were trained. Within the planet was also a portal leading to a Foreigner shield world, which is where Halsey, Mendez, Spartan 2's Fred, Kelly and Linda, and Spartan 3's Lucy, Tom, Ash, Olivia and Mark all ended up trapped during the war, not getting out until the war was over. Episode 7's title of Thermopylae refers to the location where 300 Spartans and a bunch of other Greeks stood against Xerxes' much larger Persian army for 7 days, 3 of which involved battle and resulted in almost the complete annihilation of the Greek forces. Some surrendered, but most fought to the death, including the 300 Spartans. Episode 8 being called Halo is a complete mystery to me. I never heard of Halo before. I doubt it's even a real word. Point number 17. Speaking of the word Halo, the fake-ass word Halo, 4 promotional images have also been released on the Halo the Series Instagram account, which if you put them all side by side, actually spell out Halo. I just find that really neat. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Triple S Variety channel. Why not leave a comment below pointing out anything I missed but you noticed? I would love to hear from you all. I've been Triple S, you've all been amazing, and I shall see you all in the next video.